So next, calling the member function of derived class. So first we can access the salary and address from the base class, which is common for the teacher class, that is derived class. And then in the teacher class also we are accessing that one, that is we are defining one member function, that is subject teach, data science and then machine learning. So now how many number of derived classes are there, which means employee? Definitely for any employee, two common things are there. One is every employee is having salary and every employee is having address. So these are the two common properties of any employee. So these common properties we are keeping in the base class, and the unique properties we are keeping in the derived class. And whenever any derived class wants to access the common property, they no need to write the code in the derived class again and again. Simply by using this inheritance concept, just we can inherit the property of base class whenever derived class is required. So that is what here we have done. Just we'll compile the code. Now we can see this. So now you can see the output also here. Can you see the output screen bar?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the salary and then address both are accessed by the derived class. So these two informations are available in the base class. So through derived class is accessing these two base class properties. So which means clearly knows that this is called inheritance. We are implementing single inheritance because only one base class and one derived class. This already we have seen. Now the next one is multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and then hybrid inheritance. So we'll see one example for each concept. So very simple example for multi-level. So see this multi-level. So multi-level means class A we are creating, and class B is derived from class A, class C is derived from class B. Similarly, class D also we can keep. Class E, which is derived from. So we have to specify the access specifier public, and then okay, now we can create the object for the class D, and then we can access this one. So look here, class A is the base class, and one more. So here we have one base class A. From this we are deriving the class B. From that we are deriving class C, and then class D, which means class D is inheriting the properties of class C, and class C is inheriting the properties of class B. Class B is inheriting the properties of class A. This type of class accessing is called multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Just look into this code. So this is the base class here. Here we have the method called void display. So base class content, and then we have two more classes. One is class B another one is class C. So this class B is inheriting the properties of class A, which means class A and then class B connection is there. Next, we are introducing the new class, class C. Class C. Now class C is inheriting the properties of class B. Okay, so this is what level by level, multi-level, level 1, level 2, like that is going on. If another class means this is a level 3. Okay, like that it will be going on. So now we will see the thing. But one thing, just you observe here, what we are doing, we are creating the object for the class C. So obj means object of class C. Now we are calling the member function display. Now already we have seen in the class itself. So display here, is there any member function called display here? No, there is no member function. So that what, just a minute, wait for some time. So now the function called display, which is not present in class C, again the compiler will check, because class C is inheriting the properties of class B, so that again it will check in the class B. Again the display function is not present in class B. Anyway, class B is inheriting the properties of class A, so that again the compiler will check class A. Okay, in this class A, there is a member function called display. So definitely this function is accessible by class C, because everything is level based inheritance applied. So now this content will be printed on screen. Just we'll check the output. So base class content is there. Now we will do some modification here. So now we have added one more class also, that is class D, and in class B we will add some content. Then we'll see what will happen. So here I will use the same public public void display. So this one is derived class, right? Derived class of B. Derived class of B's content. Now we'll check it. Now what we have done, we have created the object for class D and obj.display, but this display method is not present in class D, which means the compiler will check the parent class, that is class C. Class C also display method not present, so again the compiler will check the parent class of C. So which is the parent class of C? Class B. So here display function is available. So first this one will be printed. If there is no display method is available in class B, then only the compiler will check class A. So we'll check it now. The output will be derived class of B's content, not this one. See this. Can you see the output? Derived class of B's content.
Yes, sir.
So that is the difference. Okay. So this is the way the multi-level inheritance is working. So you can try with lot of example with various real-time problems you can take, and then you can apply this multi-level inheritance. So level by level. So A is linked with B, B is linked with C, which means the last derived class is inheriting the properties of previous level. And then the level 3 is inheriting the properties of level 2. Level 2 is inheriting the properties of level 1. Like that, one by one it is going on like chaining process. This is multi-level. Next, multiple. Multiple inheritance. So far we have seen only the derived class is inheriting the property from single base class, but here in multiple inheritance we will take two base class. One is base class 1, another one is base 2. This is first base class, this is second base class. So now the derived class is going to inherit the property from two different base class. Listen carefully. Now only single derived class, this derived class is going to inherit the property from two different base class. One is base 1, another one is base 2. So this type of arrangement is called multiple inheritance. We will see one program and we will do an example program also in this multiple inheritance for better understanding. So programming means it is like swimming. If you are standing above the water, if how much I am giving you training also, you are unable to swim. So how can you learn swimming? You have to dive into water and you have to practice by yourself. Similarly, programming also, how much time I am explaining to, I am taking to explain the concept in very basics also, unless if you try by yourself, you never learn programming. You should get clarity on this and you have to do your work plan accordingly. So now we'll see this one, multiple inheritance. So just to see this one, base class 1, we'll change it, base class 1 and base class 2. So these are the two base class and one derived class. The derived class name is child class. Now see this. So base class 1, I am writing the content. It is the first function of base class. In base class 2, I am writing the content. It is the second function of the base class. And now in the derived class, it is the function of derived class. So how can we, derive two base classes? This is the syntax. First class, child class name means derived class name, and then single colon, access specifier, first base class name, second base class name with comma separator. So this is the way we have to apply this multiple inheritance, which means derived class is going to inherit the property of two different base class. So now as usual we have to create the object for the derived class, that is child class. So here we have created the object for the derived class, name is child class. And now through the child class, which means derived class object, we can call the base class methods. That is what we are doing here. Display, display2, display3. Display is the method for base class 1. Display2 is the method of base class 2. Both we can access through the derived class when it is possible, when we inherit the property of base 1, base 2 by keeping the syntax like this. Okay, this is the example of multiple inheritance. Now we will take on example program on this multiple inheritance. So we will find out the total and average marks of some students by using multiple inheritance. So now get the average and total marks of 5 students, otherwise 5 subjects. So first we will save the program. Multiple inheritance dot cpp. Now IOStream using namespace std. Then we can start our class. So this is our base class. The base class name may be student underscore detail. This is the base class. So multiple inheritance means derived class is inheriting the property from 2 different base class or more than 2. Okay, it is not only restricted to 2, more than 1 base class we have to use in order to inherit the property. That is the concept here. For simplicity, we are using only 2 classes here. If you want to take more than 2 base class also, okay, that is also comes under multiple inheritance only. So now we can we know that already. If we use this protected access specifier, this particular member variable accessible within the class as well as in the derived class, as we know already. So now I am using this protected access specifier, roll number, and then we are going to find out the sum of the marks, right, in order to find out total and average. So sum, and we'll initialize the value 0 here, and I is the variable is required in order to do the iteration, for loop iteration. And finally we have to store marks by using variable marks. So we can use this as array variable. Next we'll define one more function using public access specifier, which means inside this as well as the entire the program we can access this one. We will use So sorry for the interruption. Actually, power cut happened. That is the reason unable to continue the session. Sorry for inconvenience. So let us start with.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Is it visible bar screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will use another member function for keeping our student details. Here we will read the roll number, the roll number of a student. And then we need to read 4 marks. Now we can read the, but here it is array, so that we can use for loop here. We can read the marks. So marks within the bracket we will use our I. So 0 to 3 it will work. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 different marks it will read. And after reading that one, we have to make it as total. So here for loop, this bracket is not correct. Same thing we can copy here. So here we are calculating sum. Already the value 0 is initialized to sum. So sum equal to sum plus marks of I. So this void detail method we can close here. And then class also we can close. The base class also with the semicolon we can close here. So what we have done, we have defined the base class name called student underscore detail. Here we are declaring member variables using protected access specifier, and one member function called detail using access public access specifier. Here just we are reading the roll number of student and 4 different marks of a student. So all the details we are reading from the user in this detail method, detail member function. So next, another base class we will create. So this is the example of multiple inheritance. So one base class defined. Next, another base class, maybe extracurricular activities. Extracurricular underscore activities. So for that also some marks are provided. We assume that, so that we can create the separate base class. Here we are not inheriting anything, just to see that, just a class and then class name, because both are base class. If it is derived class, means that particular class is deriving, inheriting the property of another class by using single colon. But here we are not using that one, which means this is also another base class. So student underscore detail is one base class. Extracurricular underscore activities is second base class. So in this, we may. So this is also accessible to derived class, so we can keep this protected as access specifier. In this, just only one variable, that is extracurricular marks. use a member function here. Member function name is void get underscore mark. In this function, we can read this mark. See out. Just we can inform to the user. So here we will inform to the user enter extracurricular activities marks. Extracurricular mark. So here we will read this one. What is the variable name? EC underscore mark. EC underscore mark. Close this member function, close this second base class. So two different base class we have defined. One is student underscore detail, another one is EC underscore activities. So in this student underscore detail, 4 different marks we are reading, and in EC extracurricular 1 mark we are reading. So finally we are going to find out the total average of the student. So that we will use derived class, which means in order to find out the total mark, average mark of a student, we need to get the information of 4 different marks along with extracurricular activities, which means both the base classes we are going to use in this derived class, which means now I'm going to create the derived class name called result. In this derived class, I'm going to inherit the property of both the base classes. So result is derived class now, and the access specifier is public, and the derived class name is student underscore detail, comma, another base class EC underscore activities. Okay, that's it. So this is the derived class. Now what we are doing here, see this, the new class name is called derived class, name is result. In this derived class is inheriting the properties of 2 different base class. This is the first time we are inheriting 2 different base class. This concept is called multiple inheritance. So now student underscore detail, comma, EC underscore details. Now within this, privately we can declare some variable, because within this derived class only I'm going to use this, so that I am declaring as private access specifier, total and then average. Based on the usage, we can define the access specifier. No need to use here public, because this total and average we are going to use within this derived class. Public access specifier, and here we will completely conclude this entire program in this display method or display member function. In this function, we can display the total and average of student marks. Total already we declared here. Total, how can you find out? So total means already in the first base class we have 4 different marks, and the second base class we are getting extracurricular marks. Both we have to add here. That is called total, right? So we have to access some member variable here, and in the second base class EC underscore mark, that is extracurricular underscore mark, both we have to access here. Since that is another class, how it is possible? Only with the help of inheritance concept. Already we have inherited the property of 2 base classes, so that it will support to access the sum as well as EC underscore mark. Now we can find the total. Similarly, we can find the average. Average means total divided by number of subjects. 4 plus 1, 5. So now we can print the roll, everything, the student details. Roll number we can print, role is, what is the variable name, or number. We can first print roll number, and then we can give one tab by using this /t. After giving one tab, we can print roll number. After roll number, we can print total. Total mark is TOT. Okay. Next, we can average also there, right? That we can print here. Average mark is the member variable for average AVG, right? So now this derived class is done. Next, the final part is main function. Into main, we have to create the object for the derived class. Result object name is maybe obj. We can take obj dot. First, we have to call the base class method in order to collect the student details. Can you see, ma, whatever I'm navigating in the screen? Can you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the base class, these are the details we have to collect it from user. So first we will call this detail member function. Detail, right? After collecting the student details, now we have to collect the extracurricular activity mark. So that what is the method member function we are method also member function all are same. Okay. So get mark function we have to use. So through this derived class object only I am doing, which means the base class properties will be accessed by derived class. So that I am using this object class using this derived class object. So obj is the object name of derived class result. So obj dot what is the member function, get mark. So get underscore mark. So after collecting the extracurricular activity mark from the user, then finally we have to call display method. This display method only we have written the code for finding total value, average value. Finally we can print roll number, total mark, average mark. So that through this derived class object I can call display method. This is the last one. After that we can pass return 0, close this main function. So completely here we are implementing multiple inheritance, which means two base classes we are using and only one single derived class. So this single derived class is inheriting the property of two different base class, student detail and EC underscore activities. Now we'll compile the code. Compilation file, we'll check it. Where is the error? EC activities is not an accessible base of result. If you find the mistake, you just post it in chat box. Anywhere get underscore mark student underscore detail DEATL EC underscore activities get underscore mark not accessible now. Warning, error, I does not name a type. Oh, okay. I have used here semicolon, right? That is the reason it is showing error. Semicolon means that is the end of line. By mistake I have done while typing. Again, sum equal to 0, okay. Void is inaccessible. After this one, void get underscore mark. Line number 30. Okay. See this again. See this line number 36. While inheriting the second base class, I forget to use this access specifier. That is a mistake. See, now everything is done. Is it clear, Pa? Where is the mistake? So like this, if you are doing by our own, definitely this kind of mistakes will happen. We cannot do the program in a first attempt itself successfully. Okay. So now we will check it. Can you see the output screen? Enter the roll number of a student. Can anybody respond?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Visible or not, boss?
No, sir.
It's not visible, sir, output screen.
1 minute. Now,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
now enter the roll number of a student. Maybe 115. And enter the marks of a student. 4 different marks we have to give, right? 89, 78, 67, and then 93. So now it is asking enter extracurricular. Mute your mic, ma. Enter extracurricular mark. Maybe 97. So now we will be getting total mark and average mark. See, the roll number is 115, total mark is 424, average mark is 84. So now what we have done, 2 base classes, one base class we are collecting the ordinary subject marks, and another base class we are reading the extracurricular marks. And the derived class, see, derived class, why we have derived class means in order to reduce the code, whichever the properties are commonly shared, that we can keep it in base class. Whichever the properties are uniquely represent for that particular class, that we can keep it as derived class. That's it. Very simple. So common things we are keeping in base class. So whenever we need to access the common things multiple number of times, that time just we can inherit the property of base class so that we can easily reuse the code again and again number of times. So with that concept, with that connection, we have implemented this multiple inheritance using this student detail, printing the total and average mark of students. So with this, we'll conclude this class session.